I'd like to call to order the Middletown City Council meeting for Tuesday, September 20th, 2022. If we could please start with a moment of meditation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Skank, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Farrell.
Here.
Ms. Nenny.
Here.
Mr. Moon.
Here.
Mr. Meterspall.
Here.
Mayor Condrey.
Here. I apologize. I'm in a t-shirt. I had a very lengthy road trip that got extended and swept in at the last minute. So apologize for my attire. I would normally have dressed up more, especially for the pinning today. So first, we're going to start this evening with the consent agenda. Amy, would you please present that for us?
For your consideration this evening, we have to receive and file the Board and Commission minutes from the Board of Zoning Appeals, July 6, 2022, Board of Health, August 9, 2022, to confirm the appointment of Jacqueline Brewer to the position of Code Specialist in the Department of Development Services, Jordan Connolly to the position of Maintenance Worker in the Department of Public Works and Utilities, Sewer Maintenance Division, and Benjamin Westfall to the position of Dispatcher in the Department of Public Safety, Division of Police, to confirm the promotional appointment of Thomas Snively to position of Fire Chief in the Department of Public Safety, Division of Fire, to receive and file an oath of office for Cameron Roberts, to proclaim September 24th through October 2nd, 2022 Blue Star Welcome Week, and to approve a mutual aid agreement with Butler County, Ohio to provide police services in the event of an emergency.
I'll move that the matters listed under the consent agenda be considered routine and enacted by one motion and one vote of consent.
Second.
Ms. Skank, you please call the roll?
Ms. Nenny.
Yes.
Mr. Moon.
Yes.
Mr. Meterspall.
Yes.
Mayor Condrey.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
Okay, that brings us to our pinning ceremony this evening. Mr. Lawley, will you be conducting that for us?
I will, so I'll play the role of the last role as fire chief, I guess, but it's a good thing. Mayor Condrey and council, I want to present to you tonight Chief Snively, who as of now is the new fire chief for the city of Middletown. So Tom, if you could come on up, you can bring your family with you if you'd like, and I believe your wife Sharon is going to pin the chief's badge on them. And why they're coming up. I'll give you just a little bit of a rundown on Chief Snively's career. Tom started May 6, 1992 in the Middletown Division of Fire. He completed his basic training in June of 1992. And in June of 1993, he became certified as a paramedic. Tom then was promoted on July 31st of 1995 to the position of apparatus operator. He became a lieutenant on April 11th, 2000, and was promoted to fire captain April 1st, 2004. Tom was then promoted to deputy chief on August 29th of 2006. And then promoted to the position of Assistant Fire Chief in December of 2015. And tonight we're here to put the badge on Tom. What's interesting about this, Tom, is 8 years ago, just about, Councilman Meterspall and I appeared the same night and were pinned as the police chief and the fire chief. And look at us now. So in 8 years, look where you can be. So with that, Tom, congratulations. And yes, come on up here and let Sharon pin the badge on you. things I forgot. Tom actually received his associate's degree in EMS and Fire Administration from Sinclair College in 2012, and Tom is a Ohio Fire Executive Officer. So Tom, just invite you to say a couple words, and then it's all yours.
Mayor, City Council, thank you. Great opportunity to be the department during a transition. Excited about it. We know about the stations. Couldn't be a better time to be a fire chief. So I'm very excited about it. Grateful. I want to thank my family that's here. Without their support, as Chief Meterspaw will tell you, hard to spend 30 years as a public servant without public, family support on a daily basis. Firefighters, police officers, wow, impressed by the job they do every day. I see it, saving lives, property, preventing crime, solving crimes. So, I'm in awe by that. So, very big privilege. I'm honored. Thank you.
Awesome.
Mayor Condrey, now I would like to have Major Crank come forward and Patrolman Adam Grindstaff for a Meritorious Service Award presentation.
Thank you.
He's coming.
All right. This evening, the Middletown Division of Police is going to recognize one of its officers with the Meritorious Service Award. The award is given to members of the department for acts of heroism, above the normal call of duty, and for exceptional instances of job performance. This evening, Officer Adam Grindstaff is being presented this award in recognition of his life-saving actions in response to a fatal traffic crash involving two motorcycles that occurred on August 12th, 2022 at 2:33 a.m. at Yankee and Todd Hunter Roads. Arriving on scene, Officer Grindstaff located one of the parties, Timothy Jones, still conscious with a radical amputation to his left leg that was bleeding profusely. Without hesitation, Officer Grindstaff applied his personal tourniquet onto Mr. Jones' injured leg while waiting for the arrival of fire and EMS personnel. Responding fire and EMS personnel believe that Officer Grindstaff's actions prior to their arrival saved Mr. Jones' life. Officer Grindstaff's actions are in keeping with the finest traditions of public service here in Middletown and reflects distinct credit upon himself, the Middletown Division of Police, and the City of Middletown. Good job. Some pictures here. Turn around here.
You couldn't find a safer place to be right now than this room. What a great example of both departments working together on one case. Just, I love it. We're really blessed as a community and lucky to have such incredible men and women to serve our citizens and our visitors alike. Okay, that brings us next to a public hearing. If people are not interested in sticking out the rest of the meeting, we understand, although it's going to be very exciting. Lots of good information.
I don't think they believe you, Mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said, don't listen to the politician up there. We'll give them a moment to move before we start.
That's great.
Don't listen to him, James. It's exciting. We're interested.
That's what I said.
I'm sure it's a great presentation, yeah.
Very convincing.
Yeah.
There's room for Scott to come down into the main chamber.
Yeah. So our public hearing this evening is a consideration of text amendments to the Middletown Development Code pertaining to and Chapter 1206, accessory and temporary use regulations, accessory uses and structures, and consideration of text amendments to the Middletown Development Code pertaining to Chapter 1204, zoning districts and use regulations, site development standards, and use-specific standards. See? Exhilarating. Come on up, Mr. Metz. Free sheet.
Good afternoon, Council. So before us tonight, we have two different text amendments between two different chapters. The first text amendment is for Chapter 1206-01, Accessory Uses and Structures. Staff requests to change 1206-01E15 to state that porches or decks that are enclosed are required to meet the minimum setback for the principal building. We would like to remove the requirement for covered porches and decks, decks that are attached to the structure, and decks that are more than 3 feet above grade to meet the required setback. They will have to meet the requirements of Chapter 1204.10, projections into required yards. The Board of Zoning Appeals requested this amendment due to a large number of approved variance cases concerning the matter. As you can see in the highlighted and crossed out section, that is a section we'd like to remove. Next slide. Staff requests to change the language to allow covered porches, patios, and arbors to project into required front and rear yards up to 10 feet as long as they are not enclosed. The Board of Zoning Appeals also requested this amendment due to a large number of approved variance cases concerning the matter. Next slide. This is the second text amendment case for tonight. Staff requests to change 1204.09D16B to state that massage therapists must apply for and receive a license issued by the chief per Chapter 832 of the codified ordinances. Staff requested this amendment to ensure that all such establishments are in compliance with the requirement of both the development code and the codified ordinance. As you can see in the highlighted section on the lower left-hand corner, this is where we'd like to add to development code, which is on the right-hand side where the star is. This isn't adding anything new. This is just ensuring that the development code matches the codified ordinances as it stands now. Next slide. On August 10th, 2022, Planning Commission recommended approval of both text amendments as submitted, and if they were approved tonight, they'd become effective October 20th of this year. That is all I have.
So currently, we do have in place in the ordinances that the police department approves the massage parlor. Okay. So this is just matching them up. Got it. That
I think
answers
we
one
had
of my
voted
questions.
on that previously.
Yep.
Prior city.
I just wanted to make sure I'm tracking the same info.
And from the planning commission meeting, the first item that we were considering, that they approved, a lot of those, there were some questions about like, where are these coming from? Like what neighbor, so it was a lot of like the Sawyer Mill neighborhood and some of those, planned development neighborhoods that were having a hard time, building decks on their properties, so,
Do we have any other council comments or questions before we open the public hearing? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. With that being said, we'll open the public hearing for any comments in favor of, are these two separate or one single?
I would consider it one single hearing. I think if council decided they needed to separate one out for some reason, I think you could by motion at the end
Okay.
or in the legislation.
Okay, so at this point, we'll open up the public hearing for any comments in favor of the text amendments to the Middletown Development Code. If anyone would like to speak in favor, you're welcome to come up to the dais and state your name and address for the record. Okay, seeing no movement, we will open the floor for any comments in opposition to the proposed text amendments. Seeing no movement in that, we will close the public hearing for the text amendments, and we will move on to citizen comments. I have this evening 3 different citizen comments. We have 4 minutes for each individual, so when you come on up to the dais, just state your name and address for the record. First, we have Diane Rogers.
Diane Rogers, 3907 Central Avenue, Middletown, Ohio. I'm here as the Executive Director for Central Connections. Good evening, Mayor Condrey and council members. Last week, I emailed a letter asking for consideration in allotting $2 million of the ARPA funding to Central Connections to expand our community center. I'm here tonight to re-emphasize this is not just an expensive building. This is an economic development project that will bring jobs, visitors to our community, and revenue to our city. This project serves 2 purposes. First, it allows us to have more room for our seniors to exercise, to have social interactions, participate in health education classes during the day. Due to our renovations of opening a restaurant and a bar, this is cut into a portion of our space that the seniors usually use. This new space will be offered to all adults ages 50 and under during the evening hours. Second, this will allow us to use our renovated space for conferences, meetings, and all venues during the weekday and daytime hours. As I mentioned in my initial letter, the new building will be around 18,000 square feet with 2 levels. It will include a 78-degree heated swimming pool for aerobic exercise, half-court basketball gym, card room, game rooms, billiard room, conference room, and indoor walking track. What I did not mention was that it'll also offer a place for adult daycare. We are asked regularly if we have a facility for seniors who need adult daycare. These are clients that need supervision during the day due to cognitive challenges, normally Alzheimer's, memory loss. During the evening hours, we will offer daycare to children while their parents use the facilities. In hitting this economic development key objectives, this project will allow us to bring jobs to Middletown and hire 20 to 25 new employees. We will work with local construction companies in building the facility, and also local maintenance companies for the upkeep of the building. We are one of the largest venues in Middletown, being able to hold up to 800 people, not including our outdoor space, which easily can include 1,000 people. In having a large conference, weddings, and more, it brings people to Middletown and shows the amazing things that Middletown has to offer, be it our new downtown area, sporting events, golfing, pubs, restaurants, and more. Next, we are delivering a better quality of life for our citizens in Middletown. This development creates a work-life balance, bringing our community together, be it leisure activities, fitness, a meeting with colleagues over a delicious meal, or an adult cocktail at our new bar. An added bonus to bring the entire community together, we've included a culturally diversified dishes such as halal and kosher. At this time, we are working with the organization who will be conducting our feasibility study and working with us on our capital campaign. Our architecture firm has started the schematics of the new building, and once complete, it will be sent out for a feasibility grade assessment. As far as keeping the place going and moving in the future, we'll be collecting monthly dues from adults that will be using our facility in the evening hours. We'll also be including revenue from the events, restaurant, and bar. The seniors will be kept at their yearly pay. They pay dues yearly, just because most of them have restricted incomes. We at Central Connections have grown leaps and bounds. As I tell my team at the center daily, when you reach
I'm sorry to cut you off. I have to because it's the rules.
All right.
But if you have anything that you didn't cover and you want to pass it to council, of course, please just pass
All
it
right,
along.
I know,
and
I was
we'll-
looking, I was like, uh-oh.
I know. Thank you so much for sharing your
Thank you, and I gave everybody a site survey, so if you could look over that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next citizen comments. I think it's Jamie Neely. Last name is definitely Neely. I'm not sure if I got the first name right. And then we have Jennifer Chen.
Good evening. My name's James Neely. I actually live in Monroe, but I own property at 1900 Yankee Road, and I have for many years. Going to take you on a quick trip from where Middletown started to where we are now. In 1800, there was no Middletown. There wasn't any town. Daniel Doty and his wife came up to build a house opposite 14th Avenue. They were run out by the Indians. General Mad Anthony Wayne came up from Fort Hamilton and ran the Indians back. And then Doty's came up and built another house. Now you ladies consider this. You have no food, nothing. 12 children. 3 died naturally. 1 died by a bear, 1 died by an Indian arrow, and a blonde-haired girl disappeared. And the rumor was that she was seen with an Indian tribe around. That was 100 years ago. 100 years later, George Verity came up from Cincinnati. He already had a steel mill in Cincinnati building sheeting for roofing, but he needed more land and he needed what Middletown had, water. He knew from geological studies, even they did in those days, that we were sitting on a huge puddle of water. We had lunch at the hotel there on South Main, and they walked up to Central Avenue and Main Street, and you look to the west, got a mountain and a river. Can't go that way. You look to the south, and you got all the big homes down there. Can't go that way. You look to the north, the canal was still there. Couldn't go that way. You look to the east. Middletown had 3 blocks paved. That was it. The rest was dirt. And he said, east is the way we go. And that's the way he did. So you can fill in the blanks in between types. So 100 years later, we're digging up Central Avenue. Why? Because it's 100 years old. The road, and people don't understand that, how it got so screwed up. It was 100 years. The new road you're putting in is a 100-year road into the future. You're going to see new businesses start along there as it comes up, as you get the road finished. Don't worry about what you're going to put in there. It will come by itself. It will occur. You try to plan, well, we want to put this flower shop here, this clothing shop, looking at you, looking at this clothing shop here, this shop here, that shop there. No, just get the road done, keep it clean, and if you can keep the people from squealing tires up through there, which they haven't yet, but it will, the businesses will come along. You know, you have your business on, well, 2 places in Central, so, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. But it will come along, always has. As far as dictating what's going to be in the town, no town can do that. Cincinnati hasn't done that. Columbus hasn't done that. Nobody's done that because of the internet. Everything changes. Everything changes. So I'm really pleased to hear and see the progress that Middletown's made and where we are now. And you just saw that tonight with the professional officers and all that stuff. So, and I'm 87, so I've been around for a while. Been in Middletown since 1952. And I was in Hamilton, grew up there, familiar with that. And that's when they built subdivisions and the river had a bank, and you put a big 3-foot pipe in that bank, and the sewage from the subdivision, right there, dumped in the river. Dumped in the river.
Thank you very much for your comments, Mr. Neely. We appreciate it.
All right, I'll be back. I'll
Okay.
be back, but I'm really glad to see where Middletown is. They're very professional now compared to what it was. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a good evening. Our last citizen comment is Jennifer Chen.
I'm Jennifer Chen, 23 Santa Fe Road. The American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, provided funds to local governments to assist individuals, households, certain populations, small businesses, and nonprofits that existed prior to the pandemic and directly experienced negative health or economic impacts, with a strong focus on those who were disproportionately impacted due to longstanding health, social, and economic disparities, which made them more vulnerable to severe, long-lasting impacts. You are proposing to give millions of dollars to people who don't even live here to build economic development projects that may not even come to fruition, in the hope that it might someday trickle some low-wage service jobs down to struggling Middletown residents. But that will be too late to help people facing eviction and homelessness right now. The Middletown eviction court docket is full. Rents in Cincinnati-Dayton area rose 40 to 50% last year. And we're not just talking about adults. Those households have children. In Middletown, 40% of children lived below the poverty line before the pandemic. Every child is precious and deserves safe housing, food, stability, and a community that cares about them. I want to read into the record, and for everyone listening, who you could help if you chose to, and what you could do with those funds, but apparently aren't. Who is eligible? Households who experience unemployment, food or housing insecurity, who are low or moderate income, who qualify for Medicaid or the Children's Health Insurance Fund. Enhanced assistance for disproportionately impacted, which is anyone located in a qualified census tract, which includes the entire southern half of Middletown, from the river to Dixie Highway. Also, anyone meeting the eligibility requirements for TAMP, SNAP, WIC, Medicare Part D, SSI, Head Start, HEAP, Pell Grants, or Section 8 housing vouchers. Any household with income below 185% of the federal poverty guidelines, which is $49,000 for a family of four. Half the households in Middletown make $49,000 or less. Things you could do, and I argue those beneficiaries are entitled to, include behavioral health care, including prevention, treatment, harm reduction, sports for long-term recovery, and behavioral health facilities and equipment, expansion of access to and affordability of health care, assistance to houses and individuals, including food, rent, mortgage, property tax, utility payments, and legal aid services to prevent eviction, foreclosure, and homelessness. Emergency housing, burials, home repairs, weatherizations, internet access, digital literacy, helping accessing public benefits and cash assistance, child care, early learning services, assistance to child welfare-involved families or foster youth, programs to address lost instructional time and educational disparities, development, repair, or operation of housing that is affordable, and programs to increase long-term housing security, services to address health disparities, including remediation of lead paint and lead hazards, housing vouchers, relocation assistance, investments to promote improved health and public safety outcomes such as parks, recreation facilities, and access to healthy foods. Assistance to impacted nonprofit organizations and small businesses, including grants to mitigate financial hardship due to declines in revenues or increased costs for social distancing measures, or to expand services to impacted populations. Help for disproportionately impacted small businesses, including rehabilitation of commercial properties, storefront and facade improvements, technical assistance, grants for startups, costs to expand, and programs or services to support micro businesses. Assistance to tourism, travel, and hospitality entities that existed prior to the pandemic, and which must be made available to all such entities equally, including support for payroll costs and benefits for employees, operations, and maintenance of existing equipment and facilities, as well as technical assistance to help them get back on their feet. Right now, we have families living in cars and tents. We have people working 2 jobs who can't afford a roof over their head and food on the table. We have small businesses closing because they haven't been able to weather the storm, and nonprofits that went above and beyond to take care of people when they were struggling and now have depleted resources.
Thank you
Now,
very
everyone
much for
knows
your
your
comments.
options and make your choice. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Next up brings us to council comments. Well, let's go out of order. Ms. Minnie, would you like to kick us off this evening?
Just ready for anything today. Thank you. First, I'd like to address Diane's comments about the expansion of the senior center. Thank you so much for all of your hard work over there. I know you've been making a lot of changes and improvements, and I just want to let you know that I see that and recognize all the good work that you're doing. And Jim, I appreciate your positive outlook on the construction that is ongoing on our Central Avenue improvements. I know that it can be difficult sometimes to get around, but we do still have a lot of small businesses in the downtown area that are affected by that construction, that are still open for business and are working around those challenges to offer alternative parking and alternative entrances. The sidewalks are still accessible to all of the front door entrances to all of the businesses down there. So in light of your comments, I want to also just encourage everybody who's listening to get downtown and spend some time down there and support all of those small businesses, many who have been around for 30, 40 years. So I appreciate all of their patience and the citizens' patience in that ongoing construction. I know the weather can delay things and turn things into longer projects, so I just appreciate everyone for their patience. And then obviously to the police and fire, although they're not here anymore, we appreciate everything that they do and all of their efforts. I mean, they put themselves in harm's way every day for us. So I think that's a debt that is impossible to repay and that you can't thank someone enough for. So that's all I have for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Farrell.
Thank you, Mayor. I will agree with everything you said, Councilwoman Nenny. And I was going to make a joke that Chief Lawley, I don't know who to call Chief. I'm not called Chief now. But I was going to make a joke that you said in 8 years he's going to be here. Well, when Chief Snively got sworn in, I was 5 months old, so I was going to joke and say, in 30 years, I can still be coming here every other Tuesday. So, unless you're here every Tuesday, you wouldn't probably find that too funny. But other than that, I would address the article that came out of the Inquirer that was kind of negative about Middletown. I think we're in a great spot right now. We have a lot of great leadership. I think there's so many things happening here, and if you've been paying attention to these meetings, you can kind of see the difference that's going on here. So appreciate everything that all of management's done and the rest of council. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moon.
Yes, just 2 items. I too wanted to recognize Officer Grindstaff, just incredible effort and work that he did. So great to be able to recognize somebody like that here at a meeting. I hope we can continue to look for ways to recognize our employees and just put out the great news and the great work that not only our public safety staff is doing, but all of the staff in the city. And then secondly, want to congratulate Chief Snively. Obviously, we've been working together for a number of years. Some of you guys have been working with him much longer than I have, and I've always admired his work ethic, the product that he's put out, and the time and the thought that he's put into all the proposals he's brought to council. So just want to congratulate him and look forward to working with him in his new capacity. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Mudispaw.
Yeah, same thing. Congrats to Chief Snively. It's always cool to see people that you worked with for years move up the ranks, and I'm wondering, do we get an upgrade or? Just kidding, Paul. Paul knows I love him. So Adam Grindstaff, I didn't hire him, Chief Burke did, but man, what a great thing that he did. Just anytime you can recognize an officer who does something awesome like that, and just to know he gives that extra effort, because those are dangerous situations. People don't understand. They say, well, it's part of the job. Really, it's not to put yourself like that all the time. So congrats to him, and just what a cool thing. I'm biased, but just the turnout tonight, we have the best police and fire and public works department around, in my opinion, and I don't say that lightly. We really do. And I know other cities I talk to, managers or chiefs, and they struggle with that stuff, but we have the best, and I wouldn't trade them for anybody. The central roads, that's a great point, but all I ask the public to do is before you go on Middletown Talk or whatever and start trashing staff or who's doing it or the city, just make a phone call to Mr. Tadish or Mr. Lally if you have a question. It's so easy to call and say what's going on. Instead of posting something that is just false or made up, just ask them and they'll tell you. They're very accessible people. That's all I ask, because they are working hard on it. And I know staff
is doing everything they can to make sure it gets done on time. So I reached out to Mr. Lawley and got an answer in a minute. So that's all I ask the public to do. Make sure you contact them instead of going online and bashing your city. Thank you.
Great. The only thing I wanted to add, again, reiterate the congratulations to Chief Snively and look forward to his leadership in this new role. And I just want to address ARPA and quickly to say that council is looking at every possible use of ARPA in every way. And I think most of us, if not all of us, have the thought process that what we use these ARPA funds on, we want to come back to the city tenfold. And so whether the funds are used directly for one project or another, benefiting one group or another, we look at it as a whole, and that how can we invest in our community so that we can bring more dollars and more support to every group. So whether specifically ARPA funds go to one specific project or a different project, we hope that we can invest in projects that will bring money so we can invest even more into those other projects later. So I want to make sure people aren't hung up on necessarily exactly which dollars are going to ARPA and which dollars are going to, coming from a different bucket in order to fund something. But I know that we're looking at what we can do as a whole in a big picture, and that it's more than just where specific ARPA dollars are going at this point in time. So just my thoughts on that one. I know we're getting a lot of emails about ARPA lately, and so I thought I would just pass those thoughts of mine. That brings us to city manager reports.
Okay. Before, we have a presentation, but before, Mayor, I've got to ask you a question. I think there's good news from Team Fast Tracks this weekend. Come on.
Yeah, we did bring home the gold to Middletown, so yeah.
That's great. That's awesome. I mean, people love to see the start skydivers jumping in the air, and team. It's cool to say that, an organization from Middletown is world champs, and that's awesome.
Well, it is national champs.
Well,
We're going to the World
in
October.
October.
You
I want to put out the press incorrectly.
Speak into existence, right?
I've got ESPN.
It is an honor to talk about Middletown on a national and international scale. We get to do that, and it's just a pleasure. So thank you.
We're proud of that. That's awesome. Thank you. Tonight we have a presentation, and I'd like to invite Nelson, and I don't know if Carol's with you, but Nelson and Carol Castillo are owners of Cincinnati Restaurant Holdings, and they want to bring Primo Steakhouse to downtown Middletown. They'll be leasing the Murphy's Landing building, and we are working with them on an economic package to locate in downtown Middletown, and we will present that economic package at the October 4th council meeting. What I wanted to do tonight is to let Nelson come in and give a presentation to City Council and to the public about what they offer and what they will bring to Middletown.
Let me introduce myself and to say thanks to all the members. So I'm really pleased and honored to have the opportunity to have you guys open the door for us and our business from Cincinnati. I miss the family around here. We're extremely close, but today we have to split all the way around. That being said, saying thanks to everybody who's trying to introduce our concept and explain how we participate in the community and the why Middletown. I believe the biggest reason in the questions will be why Middletown. Why Middletown, explain the fact that our concept work directly in Cincinnati. I'm a minority, obviously, everybody can hear my accent. I'm a South American Italian that had a dream and came in 1993 to United States. Grew in the restaurant business, shut down many different times thinking that I was a drug addict or I was an alcoholic, which I said that the day that I'd be able to prove that that's wrong and that's not correct to judge people, I will make the difference. That's one of the reasons I'm here. I was in Cincinnati with Downtown Cincinnati Incorporated for 6 years as a board member. I'm active. I was active in Envision Children, which is support kids in Cincinnati with low income, and we don't want anybody to stay behind when it comes to the school. We support tutors through the summer program. You can research Envision Children, and we work with them since 2013. We started with 34 kids. Right now we sponsor 838 kids. 80% of the kids are African American, 20%, about 16% are white, and then 3% are Latinos and minority. Why Middletown? We continue to grow in a business. We impact Cincinnati downtown. You can Google my name anywhere you want it. We hope that we can turn around what is the bad reputation of the Enquirer for Middletown, because Cincinnati had it before, and they turn around the city having every single person working on it. Our restaurant, our concept, as of right now, we have about 100 team members and continue to grow. We're able to probably open another restaurant at the end of the next year in Cincinnati. But we want to come to Middletown to impact and create jobs and make sure that those kids that are there that want all my shoes one day, they know there is a reason that they can continue to grow. I have in my family a member that decided to say that I don't want to go to college because that was not for him. And I'm extremely proud to announce that he's one of the, or mention that he's one of the person as the biggest leader going and following our tuition on a business example. As him as an example, we have many people, they believe they can afford to go to college or they can afford to go anywhere, but we can still impact them and make sure that they can feel they have a career. We work with culinary school. We try to help them. We try to develop them. What we're asking is not to take money away from the city. What we're asking is we can leave money in the city and contribute. I want to be ambassador for a big change. I did it in Cincinnati for many years, and Cincinnati grows so much that I'm nobody anymore again. So having the family working with Real Men Wear Pink, my son Sebastian is the face of the Real Men Wear Pink this year. Our goal is to raise $100,000 for Cancer Society. We work with the food bank. We contribute with them. And as a platform, we use the restaurant to make sure that we can continue to raise money and bring to the community. Bringing a high quality of product and hospitality, we're bringing a different demographic to the city, which will make them to spend some money and create some taxes and incentive to the city, which I believe there are some restaurants around that are probably fighting and trying to do the same. In the most difficult time after the pandemic, we believe that we can actually overcome the pandemic, and we build a structure. We're the only restaurant in Ohio that is 100% vaccinated. We're the only restaurant in Ohio that is a drug-free environment, because we believe that we're not drug addicts and we believe that we're not alcoholic. That was the goal. They go through a background check. We try to make sure that we help them, and also we help any of the association, the support, to believe and help them. So we help them to offer jobs and monitor to make sure that they can actually go back into their feet. I have a video that I wanted to show. I don't know if the video's around.
It is.
It's a video that is.
If you're
who
ready
we are
for
in
it, he'll pull it up. He'll pull it up.
Yeah. It's a video of who we are in Cincinnati, what we're doing, how we're changing. The reason the video is showing Christmas is because in Christmas time we believe in helping kids. Our association and vision, we have our Christmas tree, and every guest that go to the restaurant, they take a name of our kids. Our kids are not asking for excessive PlayStations or anything. They only ask for sweaters and socks and books. And every guest that goes there, they bring their gift to the kids. And a Friday before Christmas, we bring Santa, and he actually bring and call their names and give their gift to the kids. And it's priceless when you have kids. Somebody you mentioned over here that have kids that have needs, creating and giving opportunity to a small business with great jobs to take those kids out of the street. We support as much as we can, but we want to take everybody out of the street to make sure that we grow business. Mr. J, in conjunction with Others members are trying to help us to contribute to grow the business, and then he will do anything on his part with the building to make sure that we make the restaurant a success. We actually request to have a 10 years lease with extension on another 5, because we're not here to stay for a couple of years. We're here to build business and to grow the city. That's the reason why I'm here. If we're not open by New Year's Eve, go down to Cincinnati. Thanks again for everything. If you have any questions, please let me know. Let's reach further. We good?
If council has any questions, are they able to
Yes.
reach them out to, I mean, we can ask now, obviously, if I can open the floor, but if people are coming up with questions in the meantime, is that okay to send them through you?
Yep.
Does anyone on council have any questions at this time? I have one question for you. So, of course, I love to hear about why Middletown and why you want to give back to the community, because that is a big deal to us. From a business owner's perspective and just the financials, why Middletown as well, right? Because it sounds good to be giving back, but why would you choose Middletown to a place to invest in?
So we're established in Cincinnati for more than 6 years now. Our support is being a big time from a suburb, which is Mason, Westchester, Dayton, Centerville. So when we do the marketing study, we have everybody coming from the suburbs. But the suburbs is demanding for us to go back to the community. When we were in Mason with my kids, we support the swimming team, the school, all of that. And that's actually the community support the business. So I believe we're big believers on that. When we come and impact in the city like that, we will work with the schools, with the teams of the city, and they will be able to come back and do it. We went through a couple of cities around. They're growing too fast. So sometimes they don't need business like that. So they kind of support, but not enough. And our concept is a concept that needs assistance to be able to grow big. I don't want to go and open a restaurant, a coffee shop, because I'm going to have to work myself. So I have to work in an environment that is going to create 30, 40 new jobs for some traffic to bring into the city. So that's the reason I think Middletown has a big potential or growing. I think Hamilton did it, Lebanon did it, Loveland did it. No, Lebanon is working on it. Loveland did it, and Milford is working on it. Our concept is a unique concept, and we always want to be the first one out of that. And if we actually come first and be an ambassador to a change that you guys are doing in Middletown based on all the articles I've been reading, I know there's some negative, but I think there's a lot more positive. If together we can actually turn it around, I believe in that. I believe that we can. I want to be part of the different. So do my family, so do the people that work around me. They're growing so fast, and they're demanding to continue to grow. So we want to open more opportunities for everybody.
Nelson, thanks for your interest. I look forward to learning more. I was just curious, how much of the building are you looking at leasing?
So the building, you're talking about the building that we're trying to lease, is the J building, which is 1054 in the corner. So that will be a space that it has a main dining room and a bar next to it.
Okay, so the old, what is already kind of the restaurant and bar?
Yes, that is correct. So we use the space to utilize that will not delay too much. That will actually will give us more opportunity to start sooner than later. So we don't have to go and build anything. It's good to use what is there.
You'll be getting the Canal House bar as well. That's a part of what you're going to lease, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And you told me when I first met you about what you think was a part of your success as far as growing the Cincinnati brand, that you went and helped with the Aronoff and sponsored things there. And I think your whole why Middletown thing, I think people are going to say, oh, is there enough people in Middletown to support a business like yours? Because obviously it's a very nice restaurant, which, we have a large town, but Cincinnati is a lot larger. So I'd love to hear your perspective on how you think you can pull from the Springboroughs, the Franklins, the Monroes? What's, like you said, you ran a market study, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, that is correct. So that's actually the people that support the restaurant. So we have been in an ATP tennis tournament for 7 years. So we have the 2 restaurants over there. Our demographic goes there, go to the earn-off, go to the activities, go to events. They will have to drive in a regular dinner about probably 30, 45 minutes. Downtown Cincinnati, our business is not support by residents, it's support by attraction. If Cincinnati doesn't have any attraction, we will not be able to survive, which was one of the biggest challenges through the pandemic. Cincinnati downtown was a ghost town. Why Middletown? Is because if you drive 50 miles radius around Middletown, you're gonna find all these suburbs where the business was growing, a tremendous business through the pandemic. And they actually were able to survive more than any downtown restaurant that actually had to close the door because they couldn't survive. Having the support through the suburb and be able to feed the restaurant down in Cincinnati, we will have this restaurant built as a supplier to other restaurants and invest in equipment that can actually distribute to our restaurants down there. We do support the earn-off, we do sponsor the earn-off because we believe in bringing business to the city. And that's another share that we do with them. And we will do the same on any of attraction that you will have here in the city that make sure that they understand who is supporting the business and how we can bring more business to the city. We will offer valet parking in front of the restaurant. I think that our restaurant is a little maybe exotic, but it's nothing wrong with that. Like when you offer equality and you make people to drive for a destination because there is an attraction, because it's something that they know they're gonna be and guarantee hospitality and service, people would drive from Middletown, from Mason, from Liberty Mall, Westchester, for any other restaurants. There is no local business around. The only restaurants that are local are Agave, which is growing really fast, and a steakhouse in Liberty Mall, which is, I think it's CO, I don't remember the name, CO something. But that's a steakhouse that is actually local in Jackson, Westchester. The rest is all corporations. And I'll take the time also for you guys that you're developing the city, think about twice before you bring any corporation to your town. You bring a totally different environment. We made those mistakes in many different cities, and I want to make sure that we can probably try to build a town that is different than any other one. Exclusive shop, a small business, a small restaurants, local restaurant. If you keep that way and we actually fight for it, I think that will be a very unique town that is in the middle of all these areas that they're growing right now.
I don't have a question.
That answer the question?
Yeah. Actually, I don't have a statement. I was out west with a group last week, and we were eating at just a killer steakhouse out there, out in Nevada. And we were talking about Middletown and how we have awesome Italian, great soul food. We have incredible barbecue, but we just don't have a steakhouse. Obviously, I didn't get this body from eating salad. So I'm a big steak fan. So we were all talking about how we need that. So knowing that you were coming to present, I was really excited to hear a little bit more about it. So yeah, I think it's great. I think it's something that we need here. I think it'll drive people downtown. I think that's important.
And I really appreciate the comments. So our sponsor is a Certified Angus Beef Prime. If anybody doesn't know about Certified Angus Beef Prime, it's a nonprofit corporation organization that they support small business. So we won the award of 2017 as a steakhouse of the year for 2,500 restaurants around the world. They continue to support the restaurant. Mention you the most important, the restaurant that you have in the city. If anybody that has restaurants around here, they know they need restaurants. Mm-hmm. We need restaurants. As many more restaurants we have, as more traffic we can create. I don't believe in competition. The best competition is yourself. My concept is totally different, it's unique. As any other concept, we support our restaurants around in the city, and we go after them and recommend them. And we are part of the program of the Convention Visitor Bureau. For any tourist that come into the city, we actually learn exactly what it is and what is done to help them to go to different places and recommend other places. So I think that's something that we can copy many different things that we can get done. I was part of that when we did it back in the day, and it's not impossible.
It's exciting.
There's a lot of history in Middletown that we can actually use around here. So it could be one of those little towns that we can do tours around.
I imagine you're looking at the Sorg as also the Sorg Opera House as a demand driver for bringing people in, because that is a great thing about Middletown. I noticed in the video you had a lot of entertainment. Is that something you plan to also offer? I've had a lot of local musicians and entertainers say, oh, we wish there was more place to do that in our city. Is that in the work?
That is, yes, that is correct. So it's a whole package. So we will bring the same concept there to the city. I believe in an adults concept, and I explain why. As an adult, I'm an adult. I don't know, you guys are too young, right? A lot of young people around here. I feel old now. But like when I go out with my wife and I go out with like same age that we're trying to find a place to have a relaxed time and trying to eat and listen to each other, it's really difficult to find. I believe in my concept, and I did in Cincinnati. And it's one of the biggest growths because we dedicate that time to the quality of entertainment, to the quality of the adults, that it has no one going into an over the Rhine that they have to wait there for 1 hour. Which adult go to over the Rhine and wait for 1 hour? So in Cincinnati, there's nothing like that. When you have somebody that is asking you, when are you leaving because I need an access, or when I need the money, that's not who we are. We're the hospitality business that let you enjoy and have your time and have your business in the restaurant. There will be plenty of opportunities for corporations around here, how they can actually manage their business, and the restaurant will be designed for those type of meetings then. So we're trying to elevate, if you see the presentation that we have in paper, we're trying to elevate our concept from Cincinnati to here. You can go on the website and see the pictures of the patios and the corners and all that, and we're trying to replicate that and add our touch there too.
So you're going to have an ask from the city. And something I've always said is you bet on the person as much as the project. So if we're going to invest in you, why are you the person that's going to be the anchor for downtown? It's going to help turn downtown around.
Why am I going to be the anchor here?
Yep.
Well, I'm
Is
gonna
that
be
you
here.
said you want to be one of the anchors here, so
That is
why?
correct.
Why are you
So,
the guy?
I don't have a problem. Listen, I can be on any board you pick, but it has to be a board that give back to the community, that give back to the kids, that is helping kids that had dreams. That's always been my biggest thing. Okay, that's why I'm here. I'll be the anchor. My chef will be the anchor. My family will be the anchor. And I have somebody actually from Middletown that always give me inspirations. And he came out here, one of the richest persons in one of the counties in Kentucky. And he has more than 250 stores, self-stores. His name is Steve Womack, and he's out of Middletown. He's one of my advisors, and he's always pushing me hard. And then I think that this is one of the things that I wanted to do back to him because he's from this town. He did it, and I did it. Anybody could do it. So we just need to help.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Thank you, Nelson. Council, we just wanted to add, staff's worked really hard with Nelson and Carol on this, and we'll be bringing the economic package to you next council meeting. We're very excited about this opportunity that can come to downtown, and I really think that this really can be a good catalyst to get things moving downtown. It's definitely going to bring people into the downtown, and we take this. We look at the holiday Whoopla we're going to be supporting, and all the other businesses we have downtown. I think, this is showing that we're not just looking at the east end of town to build up and to develop. We're looking also at the other parts of town, and especially the downtown to get it going. And we're going to have Central Avenue done by the end of the year. And I really think we're going to be moving in the good direction. I said from the beginning, mine and Nathan and our staff is basically action-oriented. We want to get things executed and get things done instead of talking about them. And this is what you're going to see. And I think the benefits of this far outweigh the risk.
Is this, Nelson, is this open for lunch too, or is it just a dinner steakhouse?
So initially, we do open for lunch in Cincinnati. So initially we will open for dinner, and then Sunday all day with a brunch. But it will be open for private events, anybody that want to host business lunch. until we get the demand and create the traffic so we can actually open. The constable also assigned, it will have a window, so when it's a season, like a patio season, we will have service through the patio. Anybody will have like bikes and door service, which is right there on that block, so people that will be able to have and enjoy through the window food and drinks and cocktails, and utilize the space of the patio that can actually be traffic around all day during the day. And then the dinner, the fine dining experience will kick around 5 p.m. until like 10 p.m.
Apologize, Mayor, I forgot about the microphone.
Okay, I took a few notes to rehash for the microphone. He said initially dinner, then brunch as well, I believe, and then looking at corporate leasing for different events outside of those hours, and that ultimately they would look for window patio service
That is correct.
before 5 p.m. Did I do a good job? Okay,
Great job.
thank you. Okay, anything else for a city manager report?
That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to a motion item for this evening.
Oh, I do have one more thing. I
sorry.
forgot. Oh, Lord. I apologize. I would like to introduce Leisha Moreland, our new Economic Development Assistant Director. And she wasn't able to be at the last meeting where we approved her position, but she has started with us and has been hitting it hard over the last week and a couple days. And we welcome her aboard, and I just wanted to introduce her to everybody and say welcome.
Thank you all for the opportunity. I'm really looking forward to it.
Thank you, Leisha.
Welcome.
I apologize.
Welcome. Okay, next we have our motion agenda.
For this evening, we have to approve a contract with Brown Enterprise Solutions for in-car computer systems for 10 vehicles for the Division of Police in the amount of $50,441.60.
So moved for adoption.
Second.
Ms. Skanku, please call the roll.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Muederspaw?
Yes.
Mayor Condrey?
Yes.
Ms. Nenny?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Brings us to legislation.
We have 5 items tonight that are posed for passage as an emergency, either as a first or second reading emergency. So before we get started, I'd invite a motion to waive any charter provisions relating to multiple readings and passage as an emergency for items number 1, 2, 3, 6, and 7 on the agenda.
I would move to waive the charter provisions requiring reading on 2 separate days and to declare Resolution R 2022-34, Ordinance Number O 2022-77, Resolution R 2022-35, Resolution Number R 2022-38, and Ordinance Number O 2022-78 as an emergency measure and read one time only.
Second.
Ms. Skanku, please call the roll.
Mr. Muederspaw?
Yes.
Mayor Condrey?
Abstain?
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Ms. Nenny?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
First item is resolution number R 2022-34, a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor and declaring an emergency.
So moved for adoption.
Second.
Council, if you call from the first reading, this is our 2023 tax budget that was submitted and approved by the Butler County Budget Commission, and we are asking for council's action tonight to approve our 2023 tax budget.
Any comments or questions? Okay, Ms. Skanku, please call the roll.
Mayor Condrey?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Ms. Nenny?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Muederspaw?
Yes.
Second item tonight is ordinance number O 2022-77, an ordinance establishing a procedure for and authorizing the extension of a contract with Rumpke Inc. for refuse collection and disposal and declaring an emergency.
So moved for adoption.
Second.
Council, this is back for the second reading, and this is to exercise our contractual rights to extend our trash collection with Rumpke.
I'd asked a question if we had looked at other potential vendors for this, and I know Paul had worked with.
Yes, Nathan, do you want to?
Yeah, I know this is coming off of pre-COVID dollars, and we feel that it's the likely going to be much lower than what we would get if we bid it back out.
Yeah, as council noted in the staff report, and I think correspondence earlier today, this pricing dates back to pre-COVID times, also pre-escalation of diesel fuel costs and rising labor costs. Staff did earlier in the spring explore taking part in a cooperative bid with some of the northern Cincinnati suburbs. After discussions with those members and also looking at what our current contract extension provisions, it was felt that this was the best cost savings strategy for the city going forward. Basically because you would think that there would be a lot of competition out there, but we really essentially deal with a duopoly in this part of the state. And it was felt that it was doubtful that rebidding it from scratch would result in a lower price than this locked-in extension price that was established back in 18 or 19.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, Ms. Gunn, please call the roll.
Mr. Farrell,
Yes.
Ms. Nenny,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Meterspaugh,
Yes.
Mayor Condrey.
Yes.
Item 3 this evening is resolution number R 2022-35, a resolution authorizing the city manager to submit an application to the Ohio Public Works Commission for project year 37, requesting funding for the resurfacing and reconstruction of various streets throughout the city and restoration of curbs, gutters, driveway aprons, and sidewalks deemed defective by the city, and to enter into agreements for such funding and declaring an emergency.
So moved for adoption.
Second?
Council, this is to apply for the Public Works Grant for the restoration of the curbs, gutters, driving aprons, and sidewalks. This will put $1 million hopefully towards the $2.7 million cost.
Any comments or questions from council?
I would just add, I can't remember who it was. Somebody requested a copy of the map of the roads that was going to be paved. Might have been Monica or maybe the mayor. I'm not sure, but that for folks at home, that is in the packet if you're interested in what roads are included in this year's grant.
Thank you. Okay, no further comments or questions? Ms. Ganku, please call the roll.
Ms. Nenny,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Meterspaugh,
Yes.
Mayor Condrey,
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
Item number 4 tonight is resolution number R 2022-36, a resolution approving a written post-issuance compliance policy in connection with the issuance of tax-exempt and tax-preferred obligations by the city. This is a second reading.
So moved for adoption.
Second.
Council, this is to establish policy and procedures for us to be in compliance with federal income tax and security laws and bond documentation. Couldn't read my writing there. And this ensures that we're meeting all requirements in connection with the issuance of tax-exempt and tax-preferred obligations.
I have to ask a quick question. Who seconded that?
Me.
Mr. Farrell.
Okay, sorry.
Any comments or questions from council? Okay, Ms. Ganku, please call the roll.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Meterspaugh,
Yes.
Mayor Condrey,
Yes.
Ms. Nenny,
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
Item number 5 tonight is resolution number R 2022-37, a resolution to make adjustments to appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Middletown, counties of Butler and Warren, state of Ohio, for the period ending December 31, 2022. This is general and sanitary sewer funds and is a second reading.
So moved for adoption.
Second?
Council, this is asking for a supplemental appropriation for $183,853 from the general fund to pay the principal and interest on the bond debt for our ladder truck and our sewer plant facility.
Any comments or questions from council? Okay. Ms. Ganku, please call the roll.
Mr. Meterspaugh,
Yes.
Mayor Condrey,
Yes.
Mr. Farrell,
Yes.
Ms. Nenny,
Yes.
Mr. Moon.
Yes.
I will add on that we'll have the ladder truck here at the next council for you to see when you walk in.
Oh.
It'll be delivered next Friday.
Oh, that's exciting.
Thought you were gonna pull it in.
They might
Yeah.
need it to fix
30
some of the,
minutes or less.
Yeah.
Watch where you park.
Yep.
Chief Snively's excited.
Tom probably won't let me drive. Pretty bad when I have to get permission now.
Snively's getting a lot done at his first meeting.
Yeah. Wait a minute, I'm his boss.
All right. Item 6 tonight is resolution number R 2022-38, a resolution authorizing the city manager to apply for a matching grant and enter into a grant agreement with the Ohio Department of Transportation, Office of Aviation, for a ramp and apron expansion project at Middletown Regional Airport and declaring an emergency.
So moved for adoption.
Second.
Council, this allows staff to file for a grant that's about 5% to accept the grant and to accept the grant funds from ODOT for the planned ramp apron expansion at the airport. This grant is to go to ODOT, which puts up 5% of the total cost.
and while I don't see a direct benefit to my employer, I will still abstain out of extreme caution and good public perception.
Just a question, because the resolution says applying for a matching grant, but the staff report kind of reads as if the grant has already been approved. Has the grant been approved?
So it's a three-layered cake here. So on these types of capital projects, we get 90% from the FAA. That has been approved very recently, and I'll give a little bit of backstory to that in a second. And then ODOT typically will pick up another 5%, with the local share just being 5%. So ODOT will not allow you to apply or receive the dollars until the FAA has given it its blessing. The issue we have on this project is this was a project that was submitted to the FAA many moons ago. We actually bid the project out in April, and within the last 30 days finally got our FAA approval. As we've seen, costs skyrocket and it's starting to get cold again. So we're trying our best to cajole our lowest bidder to allow you to award at our next meeting, we hope, and hold price, and we hope to get it finished before the end of the year. If not, this may straddle into spring of next year.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, Ms. Skank, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Condrey,
Abstain?
Mr. Farrell,
Yes.
Ms. Nenny,
Yes.
Mr. Moon,
Yes.
Mr. Muederspaw.
Yes.
Item 7 this evening is ordinance number O 2022-78, an ordinance authorizing a contract with App Architecture for the architectural and engineering services for the construction of 4 fire stations and declaring an emergency.
So moved for adoption.
Second.
Council, this is our contract as we see it for the architecture and engineering fee, and to move on with App Architects for $1,293,965 for the services for architecture and engineering design. And App is here tonight to answer any questions if you do have them.
Any comments or questions from council?
Mr. Lawley, how much did we allocate to spend on the design services, and how close was this bid to what we were expecting to spend out of the fund?
This is pretty close to what we expected. We did not factor out anything specifically. This is coming out of our design, our RFQs, what we now know it's going to cost us for the actual design and architectural build.
But pretty close to it.
Yes, it is pretty much in line with most other fire station constructions, outside of those that might be your Taj Mahal fire stations, or ones that, remember how we talked to you about, you can go good, better, or best. This is in line with our better calculations, yes.
I just want to make sure that we're staying in line with, you know, with our spending budget.
Absolutely, and we know we have to at the escalating cost for the materials and inflation and all that. So we're doing everything we can to where we can make sure we get the best price to go with it.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, Ms. Kink, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Ms. Nenny?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Muederspaw?
Yes.
Mayor Condrey?
Yes.
Item number 8 tonight is resolution number R 2022-39, a resolution authorizing the purchase of 215 Oxford State Road in Lemon Township from Edith D. Manns and declaring an emergency. There's no action requested until October 4, 2022.
Okay, council, this is our request. We have the opportunity to buy the land next to the water treatment facility for 9.1 acres at a cost of $150,000, which will come out of the Sewer Capital Reserve Fund. Why we don't have anything specific now that we are going to put on the property, it does a couple things. It allows us for future expansion. There's other things that we've done in areas of some of our buildings, such as putting solar panels and stuff like that, which saves on utilities. That is a possibility that we could put there. And there are also from those residents been complaints about the odor coming from the reclamation facility, which is going to alleviate that problem a little bit.
I know I had mentioned the request about the 20% of the purchase price being used for the closing costs, and that really it's an amount not to exceed $180,000. However, I went back and reread the resolution, and it specifically states that the $30,000 is to be used for the city's closing costs. So legally, it doesn't seem like it should be written that way. If the intent is to allow for wiggle room in the purchase price.
We can tweak that a little bit. The sentence right before says the total sum is not to exceed 180. The 30 was added at my request we haven't done the title work. We haven't done any other due diligence we might want to do. We don't know yet what the recording costs will be. I don't expect it to be anywhere close to 30.
I'm not paying 20% for closing costs.
Don't expect it.
I'm not approving that. So that's why I just want to make sure we're not overpaying as a city just because we approved something that said we could pay $30,000. It's absurd, and I don't think that's.
It's definitely not the intent.
Yeah, I don't. That's why I just want to make sure it doesn't get written that way.
Duly noted, and we'll make sure that does not happen if we get to that.
I know it's two parcels. Do we know the acreage? I'm looking for it. I don't see it. Maybe I'm just
9.1 acres.
You said that
Is
earlier.
that correct,
Okay.
Scott? Nikita? 9.1 acres. Almost 9.1, just shy of 9.1 acres.
Okay, thanks.
So
Wait.
go ahead.
It's okay.
I was just going to say, the staff report indicated we don't currently have a use in mind. I assume we foresee a use. I mean, I'm certainly for proactive thinking and making sure we're planning, but I assume we foresee a need down the road in a not too distant future. Is that, I'm seeing nods headed if you're watching at home. If we don't end up having a use for it, is there backup plans other than just selling it?
Well, one thing that we've looked at doing in some other parts, and the last administration started work on this, and there is the possibility, as the future goes with solar panel energy generation, to have a possibility to do that on this property. We have discussed that.
Are there structures on the property that we are looking to demo or?
I'll let Nikita answer that. I try to stay away from that building.
They do have a barn and a house that's on there. I think that our plan would be to demo those, because if we purchase the property and don't maintain those, then it would be kind of an eyesore for the city. So their request was that we would close like the first week of November. So I think that they're gonna, they might even try to relocate some stuff, but like give them a month to clear out whatever they want to get out, and then we would probably demo them.
Okay, thank you.
And Paul, just following up on our previous conversation about all of the vacant properties that the city owns and just assessing all of those, is part of that looking at which of those properties could be utilized for some sort of solar? Is that all part of the analysis?
It could be, yes, but I don't recall there being any specific.
It would be good, just good to know which of those properties might be, city-owned properties might be acceptable for that kind of use.
Yeah, and I think it may still in place. Scott will confirm that, though. It may have just expired, but we actually had a letter of intent from a power generator looking at the old landfill site that we own off of Harmony. That's right. Over where the impound lot is. So that those types of size parcels or something like this that's adjacent to a already existing city facility that has a large electric load definitely makes sense, and that's part of our inventory of properties that we should be getting to you here shortly.
How did we get this price? How do we come to this 150?
Well, they had originally asked for $200,000, and through negotiations, we got down to the 150. We felt 150,000 was a fair price for the property.
Any other comments or questions?
One of the parcels doesn't have any home on it at all, it's just the land.
Okay.
Item 9 tonight is ordinance number O-2022-79, an ordinance amending the pay and benefits ordinances, ordinance number O-2021-105, and ordinance number O-2021-106. This is a first reading.
Council, this is a request to put the airport manager position back into the PBO before the end of the year, so we can go ahead and post for the position of airport manager, and that will be included. That position will be included in the 2023 budget should we hire an airport manager.
Any comments or questions?
All right. Item 10 this evening is ordinance number O-2022-80, an ordinance amending sections 1204.09, 1204.10, and 1206.01 of the Middletown Development Code included in the Middletown Codified Ordinances. This is a first reading.
I don't have anything to add from the public hearing.
Great. Any other comments or questions at this time? Okay, that brings us to our new business section. Does anyone have anything to add to the new business?
One item, and we had emailed about it. One of the boards and commissions that you all appointed me to, Warren County Municipal League, it meets on the third Wednesday of every month. My schedule is getting a little complicated that evening, so I wanted to just raise it out there if anybody would be interested in taking that on. It's essentially a board meeting every other month, and then on the off months, it's for any member of any council in Warren County, which you guys probably all receive those invitations. So talk about it tonight. You can pull me aside after, and we can work on it in the future. But just, if not, I can keep going. But it would help me a little bit if anybody had interest in taking
Third
it.
Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll look at our.
I already have a board that night.
I'm likely interested. I just got to check with. Sure. Okay, great. Any other new business items?
I had a couple people reach out to me literally within the last hour of being here about as far as the group that's going down to Florida for the Dignity buses. The city is not paying for that trip. I had two people ask me, why are we paying for this, for the trip, and not paying for that? So just throw it out there.
We are not.
I had a couple new business, quick things. First, I wanted to thank Ms. Skank. I believe it was probably you who reordered tonight's agenda items so we could do the pinning earlier on. Whoever was in charge of that, thank you. That was a good idea. Appreciate that out of respect for our citizens and stakeholders' time. So that was a good move. Also, just thought I would ask about the status of video recordings for board and commission meetings and where. I know we recorded Board of Health. I don't know where people can go to find those I'm not sure if everyone's recording them or where they're going. I didn't see it on YouTube. I thought maybe it would be on the city's YouTube page, but if you don't have the answer, just maybe we can look into it and figure that out.
I don't have the answer tonight.
No problem. I just know we did record.
No,
a Board of Health, and I
it
thought-
did get recorded for the Health Department meeting, for the Health Commission meeting, but it didn't, last night there were technical difficulties during the day with the recording in 2C, and so we did not get it recorded for the
Got
airport.
the wizard from behind the.
Oh, there he is.
Behind the glass.
We ordered some parts, they just came in today, so we'll get that done as soon as possible.
Okay, parts are on order. Well, ultimately, is the goal to put that on the city's YouTube page? Missy's shaking her head. Okay, great, thank you. One other request I had, just reading through board and commission minutes, I just noticed, like in the zoning commission, it says the motion was approved through roll in one place, and then in another place it says the request was denied unanimously through roll. Just a general request from me personally, if there could be an actual delineation of which board members voted yes and no, it would help me to be able to quickly read through minutes, because I'm sure all of us as citizens know, oh, I tend to be in line mentally with this particular person's thought processes. And so when I read through board and commission minutes, it helps me to more quickly go through them personally. I would imagine some of our citizens feel the same way. There's a lot of volume of minutes. So just a thought, if that's possible for different minutes, if it could be delineated who voted what. It also, I think for the record, is a good thing to have. And then one other thing, I don't know if, I think maybe you're working on a code enforcement update. I know that keeps coming up regularly. I think that's still in the plans. Okay.
It is.
Great.
It is. I got a email from them late this afternoon on an update on it, but I haven't been able to read it yet. I can read it to you, but
No
I'll
problem.
forward it to you. I've got an answer, but I have not been able to read it, so I wasn't prepared.
We're on the edge of our seats about code enforcement, so. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Any other new business items? Okay. Then we have a request to move to executive session under the authority of ORC 121.22G4, preparing for conducting or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment. Do we have a motion to move to executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Skank, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Nenny?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Mr. Muterspaw?
Yes.
Mayor Condrey?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
And I don't think we have a plan to vote on anything following that executive session. Is that okay? So we'll come back in open session simply to close the meeting out. And then our next meeting will be October 4th, Tuesday, October 4th here in council chambers. So until then, blue skies over Middletown.